Hey everyone, I'm Dakota from Striker Security, and welcome to this quick video tutorial on getting started in open source intelligence using Recon-ng. If you've used Recon-ng before, there probably won't be anything new in this video, but I have something else that will probably help you. A guide that has documentation for all of the modules in Recon-ng in one PDF. You can find it for free at strikersecurity.com. I'll make sure to include a link in the description of this video. It definitely beats typing show info over and over again. But anyway, back to the video. I love Recon-ng because it helps me gather a ton of information very quickly using some clever automation. The information it gathers is usually referred to as open source intelligence, or OSINT, which is just a fancy way of saying information that's publicly available. In this video, I'll give you a quick overview of what Recon-ng is, what it does, and how to use it, then jump straight to an example, showing you exactly how to gather a ton of information starting with a couple of easy facts like a domain name or business name. At its core, Recon-ng is a tool built for security professionals to conduct the initial phase, reconnaissance, of an offensive security exercise. Recon-ng can turn a small kernel of information, sometimes just a domain name, into enough knowledge about the target to plan an attack. However, that's not the only thing that makes Recon-ng useful. It's very effective at turning up intelligence that's valuable to business analysts, a capability which is often overlooked. This video aims to provide a general introduction to Recon-ng that's useful no matter your end goal. Let's get started. This video won't deal with installing Recon-ng because I think the official installation guide you can find online does a great job. If you're still having trouble, just get in touch with me at strikersecurity.com/contact and I'll help you out. If enough people have a hard time with it, I'll go ahead and record another video just for installation and setup. Once you've got Recon-ng installed, we can get started. On the command line, use cd to move to the directory you've installed Recon-ng to, and then type Recon-ng to run it. We'll be in the Recon-ng interface from here on out. From anywhere in Recon-ng, you can type help to get a list of commands available to you and a brief description of what each does. You can also type help followed by a command you're interested in to get more detail about that particular command. In this case, we're going to get started by talking about Workspaces. Workspaces are included in Recon-ng as a way to organize your different projects and keep them separate. You can only access the data in a particular workspace if you currently have it activated. In case you can't figure out where all your work went, this is a great first thing to check. For the example I'm about to show, I'll create a new workspace called Nihilus. You can name workspaces whatever you want, it's just to help you remember. When you create a new workspace, you automatically switch to it. Note that it now says Nihilus instead of default just after Recon-ng in the lower left corner. Recon-ng also relies on keys to operate. You won't need to add any for this tutorial, but certain modules require keys to function. Here's a list of the keys you can add. Again, this won't matter for this particular tutorial. Alright, next we're going to talk about how Recon-ng stores data. By typing show schema, we'll be able to see all of the formats that Recon-ng stores results in. Right now, we're really interested in domains and companies. We can see that domains are just a domain name, no surprise there, and module. This is something Recon-ng adds automatically to every entry that says how Recon-ng got that data. We'll see that in action in a moment. Companies are only slightly more complex than domains, with a company name and description required. Alright, let's figure out how to add the initial data we'll use to start digging by typing help add. The add command requires us to specify a table, each of the different types of data represented above is stored in its own table, and the values to put in, separated by the tilde character. First, we'll add the domain of the company we're looking at today, nihilus.com. This goes in the domains table, which we looked at earlier. We'll also add www.nihilus.com. Adding multiple known domains can sometimes help you turn up more information. Next, we'll want to add the name of the company we're looking into, so let's review what we need. Looks like we'll need a company name and description, so we type add companies, Nihilus, and then the tilde character, and an email startup, and then repeat for Nihilus Inc. Again, adding multiple versions of the name can turn up more information. We can now type show companies and show domains to see the tables containing the information we just added. Awesome. Now that we have the initial information to build off of, let's see what we have to work with for information gathering by typing show modules, which will output all of the information gathering capabilities, each referred to as a module, that Recon-ng has. As you can see, there are a lot. Thankfully, they're well organized and there are some commands to help you out. Each module is categorized by what it goes to and from. So since we have domains and company names right now, we want to start with those. Using the search command, we'll search for domains, which will find us every module that goes from a domain to something else. Now that we have a much shorter list, let's start at the top with the PGP search module. To get a module loaded and ready to use, type use followed by the full path to the module. As a quick tip, you can hit tab to autocomplete, and if you hit it twice, it'll list all of the possible options based on what you've typed so far. Once you've got the module loaded, you can see that its name will show up in the lower left corner after the workspace name. Alright, so how do we use this module? To figure out what we're dealing with, you can type show info for a description of the module. This will display the module name, a description of what it does, and give us the options we need to specify in order to run it. In this case, we'll be searching a public server which stores keys used to encrypt emails. There are no options that we have to worry about though, so we can just type run. And awesome, we found 7 emails that end in nihilist.com. Let's see what else we can find. Using search again, we can decide on the next module to use. Next we'll try who is point of contacts, or POCs. It's required that every domain have some points of contact in case anything goes wrong with the domain. This module also has no options that we have to worry about, so we can just run it. And it looks like we got nothing from this one. We'll have to keep trying other things. Back to the same familiar search command, and let's try Bing domain web. Again, just type use followed by the full module path, then show info to figure out what it does. This module searches Bing to find other domains associated with the ones we already have. Go ahead and type run to kick it off. And cool, we found 5 new web URLs that might be worth looking at. Next we'll try the same module, but using Google instead. We found a couple of new URLs, which is great. Google and Bing usually have different results, so it's worth checking both. Now that we have some domains, let's try to get some email addresses. Using a slightly different search command, we can look for anything that gets us contacts by typing search and then contacts. We've got a company name, so let's try something that uses that information. My favorite module, which uses Bing to find LinkedIn profiles. This one's a bit more complicated, but looking at the options, the defaults are all fine. Let's just run it and see what happens. It looks like we got an error. That's okay, this happens sometimes. Usually just trying again will work. And there we go, that's what we're looking for. We got a bunch of great information from this, but how can we use it? By running show contacts, we can see every contact we've gathered so far, but as you can see, the output is pretty gross. That's because my terminal isn't wide enough for the table, so it wraps, but it wraps poorly, and we need to filter some stuff out in order to make it all fit. Looking at the heading for this table, it seems like we really just want first name, last name, and email. The rest isn't really super relevant to what we're doing right now. Doing this will involve one of the more advanced commands, query. Let's see what help has to say about it. Okay, let's try just getting the first name, last name, and email columns from the contacts table. We just run select, then the column name separated by commas, then from, and then the table name. Alright, and that's much better. But what about all those blank spaces? There's a special module called Mangle that can help with that. It can take names and turn them into email addresses given the format, which we've learned from a few email addresses that we do have. This will be the first module where we have to set some options. The first thing we need to do is set the domain option to be nihilist.com, since that's what the emails end in. Using the set command, that's pretty easy to do. We also need to set the pattern we've seen these emails in, which is a simple one, just the first name. The pattern options are in the comments section, but we only need one, first name. Instead of show info, we'll try show options to just confirm that our options make sense. Looks like they do, so let's go. Using our query from above, we can see that all the blank emails are filled in. A quick aside while we're looking at all these results. Notice how there are some duplicates? That's to be expected. Automating your collection like this can do a lot, but it's not an excuse to avoid good analysis. You can do that analysis by hand, or you can use more tools to automate it. But I wouldn't use raw output like you see here from Recon-ng and just go to town with it. Alright, lastly, let's look for ways to get this information out of Recon-ng. Turns out the modules to get data are not called output modules like I initially thought, so I'll have to take a look at the full modules list here to remember that it's called reporting. This module outputs a nice CSV that you can load up into a spreadsheet or another tool or really anything. Although one of the other reporting modules you see actually outputs Excel files, so you could even use that instead. Once you've set the table you want to output using the same set command as before, typing run will create a file for you to use. Now that we've got the data we want, you can just type exit to leave. And that's it. We've only brushed the surface of what Recon-ng can do. And we still extracted more than 30 emails using only the name of the company and the domain of its website, neither of which are hard to find, in under 10 minutes. If you're interested in learning more, head over to strikersecurity.com/contact and let me know what you want to see next. If you'd like to know about all the other awesome stuff you can do with Recon-ng without having to type show info for every module, you can get the PDF I put together with all of the Recon-ng documentation by using the link in the video description. Thanks for watching, and keep in touch.